We're not salespeople. When we're on the phone with a seller, we are not salespeople. We're not even real estate investors. We are problem solvers. And we may or may not be there to buy a property or not. That's really secondary. It's what is the pain that individual is feeling or experiencing, and what can we do to come up with some solutions?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Immigrant Doctor podcast. I have two fine guests with me, Richard Knowles and Mitch Roy. Actually, we met a few months ago and we were in discussions because they are phenomenal at what they do. That is, they do a lot of creative financing and they buy properties creatively, which we will get into in a bit. But we got into discussions about how we could partner up and how we could work together. But they're so busy with their businesses that I guess they decided to focus on building wealth and building generational wealth in their businesses. But a brief introduction about Mitch and Rich. So Mitch is actually an MBA from Penn State University. He was in the corporate world for a while, and now he's primarily investing in real estate. Richard, he is actually has a computer engineering background. He's worked with ESPN, Disney, Twitter, and now he's also working in real estate, and both of them kind of work together. They have a business together. So I'm very excited to bring them on because I know that Rich has been incorporating some AI into his business model, and they work together as a team, and they are doing something great. In fact, just before we got on this call, Rich was telling me that they have 6 properties under contract right now, and which is phenomenal. I mean, you can imagine, usually we talk about multifamily, the pace with which things move is like fairly slow, but they're primarily in the single family space where you can see like they have 6 properties under contract right now. So welcome, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. We're doing fantastic.
Yeah, same here. Doing phenomenal. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So let's just dive into this. You have varied backgrounds. Rich, you have like an computer engineering background, and Mitch, you were an MBA. You guys were doing pretty well in your businesses, whatever you were doing. What made you transition to real estate?
Mitch, you want to go first?
I'll let Rich go first.
Computer engineering. I love what I do. I love, solving problems and building applications and having the world see what I built. That's my joy. That's fulfilling for me. And technology, makes people's life easier. All right. So that's why I love and have a good passion for technology. And, my parents were very strict when I was growing up. They're Jamaican parents, and, Jamaican parents can be very, very, very strict. So I had to be home by 4 o'clock after school. Even in high school, I'd be home by 4 o'clock. School ends at 3:15, be home in 45 minutes. So no time to play basketball, hang out outside of school, that kind of stuff. Just come straight home. And they kind of pushed me to go up the corporate ladder, right? Go to college, get a degree, and that's the American dream, right? And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed, working in computer engineering at, different companies like ESPN, Disney, Twitter. I enjoyed it. But at one point I realized that, I need to build some passive income. Like, this is active, right? I have to be working actively to make this income, right? And I see people on YouTube making passive income through real estate. So I saw a video by Max Maxwell. That was my first introduction to real estate, about building passive income. And that's just shifted my mindset. I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad after that video. And then my mindset just shifted. Like, my parents taught me, you have to go up the corporate ladder, but now I'm looking at these other, influencers and, successful people saying, no, you want to build out your own dream. Like, why spend, 9 hours, 8 hours a day building out somebody else's dream when you keep your own, So that kind of, shifted my mindset, going from active income to passive. However, because I have a, high paying, income, I still like to do both right now, but at one point I could decide, okay, I want to leave my active and just keep my passive. So that's what got me to real estate, trying to build my passive income and build generational wealth.
Very cool. What about you, Mitch?
As you said, I was in the corporate world for a number of years before I got into real estate. I was what's called a management consultant. So I put on a blue pinstripe suit, 5 days a week and got on an airplane and flew somewhere around the country, re-engineering big companies, and had my own company doing that. It was a lot of fun. I was working probably 70, 80 hours a week, and it was great. And I went to a networking event. I think it was probably about 2003, and I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, "What do you do for work?" She said, "I'm a real estate investor." And I said, "What's that?" I mean, I had no idea. I was a suit and tie. I didn't know. She said, "I buy and sell properties, and I buy notes." I'm like, "Really? Is that lucrative?" She said, "Yeah, I just did a deal and made $20,000. I'm like, "What? This is 20 years ago." I'm like, "Tell me more about this." And at that point, she was working with a gentleman by the name of Eddie Speed, who he's still around today. He's the note king. And she said, I buy and sell notes. I'm like, "What's a note?" So we got into that. And so I started work. I said, "Would you be open to showing me what you do? I would love to learn this." And so she said, "Hey, let's do some notes." And so we started buying and selling notes. And that led to one other thing. And then I started connecting with people and then started flipping houses and then got into development. And so that was almost 20 years ago. And so I've been doing that since. So my background is in fix and flips and single and multifamily development and ground up construction. And then I guess it was over 3 years ago, I was out in Phoenix and I saw this video of this guy named Pace Morby. I had no idea who he was, and he's talking about doing creative finance. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. So I just drove to their office, and they had a little tiny office about, the size of this room here. And Pace wasn't there, but Cody Barton was. And I said, "Hi, my name's Mitch. I saw one of your videos that you guys do creative finance. What's that?" And he told me about what they did. And I said, "Where do I sign up?" And that was, I think it was April of three years ago. So, and that's how I got started, literally.
Amazing. What do you think helped you from your previous careers to kind of, or what skill sets are you bringing in from your previous careers into real estate that is kind of giving you that edge over the others?
Yeah, me coming from a question background. Yeah, great question. So me coming from an engineering background, I'm more of a problem solver, and real estate is all about relationships and, looking at other people and solving problems, right? So also with my tech, background, I'm able to apply applications to what we do in real estate. And of course, you mentioned earlier AI, right? So AI, I think is gonna change the world. And I'm already using AI in our business now, make it easier to communicate with agents and other people in real estate, contractors, buyers, etc. I'm also communicating via text. It can also underwrite for you as well. You can train the AI model to teach you how to underwrite, so you're being a lot more productive. So I would say productivity has increased tremendously ever since ChatGPT came out. It would take me, before ChatGPT, it would take me maybe 15, 20 minutes to write an email and make it look professional, but now it's like, maybe 2 minutes, maybe less, ChatGPT. So, we do a lot of automations and stuff like that. So, I would say it's definitely increased our productivity and increased our automations as well. So, using my software engineering background, applying to real estate has been tremendous, and I'm grateful that I would do that. So, I kind of act like an integrator in my business because, I love systems and tracking KPIs and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm good at.
Very cool. What about you, Mitch?
That's a great answer. I like what Rich said there, and I'm going to echo some of that. At the end of the day, we are in a service business. We don't think of ourselves, and we train our associates this way. We're not salespeople. When we're on the phone with a seller, we are not salespeople. We're not even real estate investors. We are problem solvers, and we may or may not be there to buy a property or not. That's really secondary. It's what is the pain that individual is feeling or experiencing, and what can we do to come up with some solutions, hopefully in a win-win manner that can be a win for them and a win for us. Sometimes it's not. We will say, "Hey, Avishkar, here are 3 options you should do. they really don't involve us. We're not the right solution for you, but here are 3 things you can do, and here's how to do it. And, so that is really what we're here to do. This is ultimately, it's a people-to-people business. A lot of the people we deal with are having challenges that they do not know how to deal with, fairly sophisticated financial challenges. We have experience in that, and we can provide solutions to that. To answer your question, what is it about my background that helps me in this career? I think being a consultant, I would be brought into large companies, and very quickly I had to get a read on what is going on, what are the problems, what are the opportunities, why does person A not talk to person B, department C not talk to person D, and how do we put it together in a manner that best utilizes the resources and strengths of that particular organization. And that is something that I use in our company in terms of how do we put our teams together. In fact, we are discussing that right now. We are in an expansion mode, and we're talking about different types of jobs to design and hierarchies and training systems. And what we are focused on now is automating it. Basically, what Rich and I are focused on is making ourselves almost irrelevant in the business so that the business could run without us, so that we can focus on bigger things such as marketing, branding, coming up with new solutions so that the business can run in an automated manner. And so those are some of the things that I would bring.
It's so funny that you say that you're trying to, pull yourself away from the business, because this sort of resonates with me in the sense that I was reading a book. I don't know if you guys have read this book, 10X is Easier Than 2X. And basically, this is a book by Dan Sullivan. And, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. So this I think came out last year. And what they talk about is the different stages of entrepreneurship. And I think it's stage 3 that they mention is stage 3 or stage 4 is when you actually have to pull away from the business itself, make it a self-functioning, self-propagating business wherein you're able to kind of focus on the bigger ideas and to bring in new things into the business rather than working, getting involved with the day-to-day activities of the business.
Yeah, replicating ourselves. So to teach others in the organization to do what Rich and I do so that we can focus on other things. And, one of the interesting, I won't even call it a challenge, I'll call it an opportunity. In working in the world we work in, there's a lot of turnover in this world, because when people learn how to do this, they don't need to work with us. They can, once we train them how to find deals, structure deals, and sell deals, they're off doing their own thing, which is fine. We're coming up with some ways, we're working on some ways to incentivize and motivate people to stay the long term, to make them a part owner in what we're doing, to participate in the deals. And that's something we haven't seen done, and I think it's going to be a huge competitive advantage for what we're doing.
Very cool, yeah. What do you guys, when you guys are investing in these properties, what are you looking for in a good investment, or even, I don't know if I can call it a partnership with the seller to get them to the finish line? What are you exactly looking for?
We're looking for properties that will help build us cash flow, right? So cash flow is really what's important to us. Cash flow is king. People, kind of bank on appreciation, which goes up and down, right? But the cash flow can always remain the same, right? So as far as what we're looking for, we're targeting properties that can cash flow, whether it be a long-term rental, short-term rental, mid-term rental, or even sober living, right? So that's something that we're looking to as well. And as far as, helping sellers, a lot of these sellers, are in a situation where they need help, right? So we're here to provide a solution for them. And sometimes they might be pre-foreclosure or going through divorce or, some kind of distress situation. And we're here to help them in those situations, put some money in their pocket. We're actually going through something right now. One of the deals on our board, we have a deal in Hemet, California, which has been a huge headache for us, Mitch and I, but we are actually spend a lot of time and effort into it because we want to help this person. This person has a mobile home in the mobile home park. We have to rent, pay money to rent the space. And she hadn't paid rent since, I believe, November or December of last year. So maybe 6 months or so. And apparently she lost her husband sometime last year. and she went down in a spiral. So she, started doing drugs, and started having weird people, strange people in the house and stuff like that, having tenants that are not supposed to be there. So the landlords were pretty upset about it, and they went through the eviction process to get her out of there. And it's been a huge headache because they couldn't get her out. But we came to the rescue. We said, "Oh, we can help you. We'll give you money for your house, and we'll also help you sell the house, right? So that you can get some money in your pocket." So we've been under contract since when is that, Mitch? I think May, and we're still going through battles with the landlord. He's kind of not being a nice person, as far as us trying to sell the property, because you can't. For that specific property, you can't be an absentee owner. You must, be an owner occupant to, access the property or own the property. So we didn't realize that until after we got into contact. But you said, it's okay. We're still going to help you. We're going to help you find a buyer and owner occupant. And as part of that process, we had to send owner occupants to the landlord's, office, the management office, and apply for, to actually stay in that property, right? They have to have 700 credit score. They have to have no eviction, stuff like that. So the landlords are kind of being a little bit strict with that. So that's something that we're dealing with right now. But it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. We're going to help this out. We helped them move. We took all the stuff out. We put the stuff in storage. We hired movers and packers. They take all of her stuff. She had a lot of junk in the house, and we hired movers to come in and pack up everything and put it in storage. And we paid for the storage for her until we closed with a new buyer. So we're just here to help people. That's what we did.
Very cool. All right, guys, if you haven't done already, please go check out my free video series on how to do due diligence on operators and on deals before investing in them. It's called Real Estate RX for Passive Investors, and it's available at www.rerxcourse.com.